Welcome to our class today. Thanks for those students who have joined. So today, as per our link, our theory part, we will start discussing about big data analytics. Then we will have our practical part, the same way we did in our previous lesson. So I believe last time we had challenges with lighting. We will be sharing the screen so that you'll be able to engage with other with students. We said you log in using your phone, and you use your machine to open your Excel application, because you are going to do a lot of practical today. So I believe again you have logged in to the WhatsApp group. Anything that you're going to submit, anything you're going to do, any practical, you will submit your results in the WhatsApp group, so that we'll be able to know whether you are really the right track or not. So in our last lesson, we did discuss about the introduction to data analytics, and we did go through the first few concepts about data and business data analytics. And we said that the business analytics is a very important concept, especially in business intelligence, because it is one big factor that allows companies to know when to make decisions, where to make or how to make decisions. We did discuss about the primary method of business analysis, and we said we have those primary methods. Someone is asking which group. We have the KCE Data Analytics 2023. I don't believe we have any other group. That is a group that you're going to submit your results. So the four primary method of business analytics, we discuss these: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. So those are four methods of business analytics. So we explained each one of them, and in every case we had an example. So I believe this one is something that you keep on reminding. Someone is asking about the notes. I'm sending those notes in the same group I've said. So that one you can go through them later. So today we are going to check on something we call big data. And the concept of big data, we'll practice it practically using Excel, and you'll see what we really mean by big data. But sometimes, as the organization continues to do its operation, the volume of data keep growing day in, day out, and it reaches a time when there is a lot of data involved. So big data, that combination of structured, semi-structured, and structured data collected by organization that can be mined for information and used in machine learning projects, predictive modeling, and other advanced analytics applications. So that is what big data is all about. So the system that process and store big data have become a bit common. They are very common nowadays. Component of data management architecture in an organization. So combined with the tools that support big data, you're going to see these tools that allows us to work with big data. So and in big data analysis, the big data analysis actually itself is that it's describe the process of uncovering trends and patterns, just like data analysis, data analytics do, uncovering the trends and patterns and correlations. But now here in relation to large amount of raw data, so that to help make data informed decisions. So this process use familiar statistical analysis techniques like clustering of data, regression, and applies them more dense data sets with newer tools. And these newer tools that you're going to discuss over here. So, the big data analytics hence refers to that is collecting, processing, cleaning, analyzing, large organization operate or operationalize their data or their big data. So it involves collection of data. So each data have to be collected using various data collection tools. We have the data capturing tools. Some use the machines, that is machines to collect the data. Others, data is entered manually by user. Then after this data is processed, that is, it undergoes processing. This processing may involve using of various tools like spreadsheet applications, other programs used for data collection, other programs used for data analysis. Then they go through that process of making this data better. So better decision making, you have to produce data that is refinement of data. Then sometimes data may have errors or duplicates, or sometimes data may have irrelevant information. So that is, it also involves data cleaning, a process whereby you have to refine the data by removing unnecessary records. So on that data cleaning is actually large. It involves a lot of activities, which we are going to uncover here, that when you talk of data cleaning, specifically what are you referring to? Sometimes even refining the data by refining the data which involve maybe replacement of the current data with the newer records. That is still under data cleaning. So then after this, we have analyzing of the data, that is getting big data into usable states. That is now using analytical tools. And some of the big data analytical tools involve data mining, a process of gathering the facts from large volume of data into a data warehouse, whereby information is stored in a refined manner. Information is gathered from big volumes of data, then brought into one database, whereby this database is used by professionals and managers within the company, even users. It is one center of truth, a data warehouse. So for you to have a data warehouse, you have to do data mining. Then we have predictive analysis that will help us to create data, that will help us to project, that is, have the data, and you project about the future, identifying the upcoming event and opportunities. Then deep learning, imitate human learning patterns, using artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other tools that will help us to improve our business intelligence. So all these involve data analysis. So it is important to have the importance of these big data analytics, because big data is not an exception. In most cases, companies will always experience big data with time. Sometimes you are required to get large volume of data so that you can refine this data and get the specific details that you need for decision making. So that ability to analyze more data at a faster rate can provide big benefit to the organization, allowing it to more efficient use data to answer important questions and so on. So big data analytics is important because it lets organization use the ratio amount of data in multiple formats from multiple sources. So one of benefit is cost effectiveness. When you analyze big data, using the same machines, using the same softwares, using the same tools, then you analyze big data. That cost effectiveness, instead of gathering or collecting a small amount of data with the time, that is, after one time you gather a small amount of data every day, and you use this small amount of data to create reports. And these reports for every day, using the same tools, meaning that it will be costly to do that. But when you have one large amount of data, you still use the same tools to process and to give out the report. So it helps organizations identify ways to do business more effectively, product development, providing a better understanding of customers' needs. Because when you have large amount of data, it means you have cut across a big volume. If it is customers, you have a very big database for your customers. So you'll be able to understand different customers from different backgrounds. You'll be able to understand the markets, different markets, when you have large volume of data. Where do you get this data? Through data mining. We have those effective ways of gathering this data, even from the online, from the World Wide Web. We have what we call online data mining tools that can gather information. They can traverse the internet, and they can gather that information online without or with less control of human beings and produce or bring this data into one form. So you have seen such tools normally used by those analytic companies. Some of these analytic companies, I hope you have ever engaged in them. Like nowadays, there are so many. You can see like those people who like football. You have ever seen those analytical tools. The software is able to gather information from different websites, from the YouTube, and is able to do analysis, very clear analysis of the teams, the scores, and the players, and no one is typing that information. It's just gathering that information from the internet. That is one way of gathering information. So once we have such a tool, it is able to gather information of a business from various aspects and bring this information in one platform. And once you have this, you'll be able to understand more about customers' needs across all divide. Then they also help to do market insight, that is tracking purchase behavior, market trends, be able to know the customers from different demographics, that is even the behavior and the behaviors of customers from various backgrounds. So these help to understand the market in a better way. So all these are benefits why big data is very necessary. So it has some challenges too, that big data brings big benefit, though it has also big challenges, especially problem with the new privacy, problem with the security concern, accessibility for business users, and choosing the right solution for your business where you are given so many or you access so many of these. So to capitalize on incoming data organization, you'll have to address those challenges, like making big data accessible. That is, you have to make this big data, because collecting and processing data become more difficult as the amount of data grows with the time. We have said that when you start the organization, slowly, the big data keep on growing with the time. So, and by this, then you have a lot of data. Then maintain quality data, because you may have big data with so many duplicates. And because of this, sometimes you find, yes, you have big data, but when you are doing the analysis, it gives wrong reports because of those duplicates and errors. Sometimes even conflict and inconsistency. Such data then have to be refined. So you have to do big data analysis. So, and then other challenges is keeping data secure. That is actually one of the major challenges that in our current world, sometimes it is very, very difficult to secure data. So especially if this data is learning in an online platform. So it's a serious threat, and it requires the data analyst and data scientist to come up with good tools that will help secure this data. So an organization will need to strive to compliance and put tight data processes in place before they take advantage of big data. So they have to ensure the security paramount. So finding the right tool and platform is another challenge, because technology now changes now and then. Today, people are using Windows, tomorrow they will use a different application. So today we have people using SQL, for example. Is actually one of the major tools, the SQL platform, where most databases have been established. But we have other database tools still in use, like Oracle, which is actually one of the best tools that you can use in data as a data platform. So you have to select the right database platform that will help you handle large volume of data. So that is something else that is very necessary. And we have seen that, yes, we have those challenges of data, of big data. Every organization have to take care of its big data. So our today's theory, we are going to reach there. So that is just a small insight about the big data. I know some people really ask for the notes, but when you send, they don't read them. So I will be going through the notes first, then I send them, because there is no way we can just give the notes and then you don't read the notes. So we have to go through the notes. Then at your free time, you just take your summary notes from that big data that you send. So today's theory lesson, tufikisha hapo. Then we shall proceed with the practical parts. We said the practical parts, if you have the book, then it is important to have it at the back of the book. And yesterday I was having a class with the physical students, and I've realized something. That some people have been exposed to Excel, and they have been using Excel for a while. And other people, they have not been exposed so much to Excel. And we have come to think of this because from the last exam, we realized that from our own research, we realized that there are some people who did this online, and there are those who did physical. And actually, most physical students were able to tackle this paper. I'm not saying that if you are very far, you have to shift now here to Nairobi, but we have seen that it is, this is a practical paper. That is one thing you should be aware of. It is a practical paper. And some mistakes that students are doing here, especially the physical students, I don't really tend to believe that even the online students are doing the same mistakes. It will be a very big challenge if you are there, because we cannot see what you are actually doing, and we cannot really see what or how you are handling or how you are going through this. And that way we started from the basics, so that if maybe you never did computers, or maybe you just did very many years ago, you'll be able to refresh back, and now you come up and now you proceed together. So, some of the challenges I noted is the speed. And I realized that some people they are very slow. Something else I noted is that some people are taught those old ways of using a program like Excel. But now with the new application that has been developed, there are new tools that has been created that will help you do work even better. So it is important to actually note that you have to use Excel the way it's supposed to be used. Something else I've noted is that there are a number of students who have been using Excel almost like over 10 years. But in their workplace, the only thing they have been using is just to compile the data. They don't do any function. Just simple formulas that they have been using there, here and there. Sometimes even entering the formula manually. But now this one we are doing is an exam. This is an exam. So you cannot really work exactly the way you do there when you are doing your work in the office. So this is an exam, and it has its own tricks. So this I'm saying because I had an online student who said that he was just listening. He don't even have a machine. He's just listening. That is not learning, sure. That is lying to yourself. So this is not a paper you can just listen. It is a paper that you're supposed to practice. So we give the data, you enter the data. There is the reason why we give this simple data, so that from there we can expound from there slowly by slowly. So that is something you need to note and take note of that. So today we are going to discuss about referencing. Referencing, because in our last lesson we did discuss about several data types that you enter in Excel. And we said that in Excel, you enter data in form of labels, in form of values, in form of formulas and functions. And every data set that you will have these tools. And even when you're using this when you're tackling your exam, you also notice that they have provided those 4 types of data. Only that they have not given out the formulas, they are not given the function. You're supposed to add those in your worksheet. So what do we really mean by referencing? First, before we do really these reference techniques, I would like to share something about one of the solutions of one of the paper that was done. That is, there's 2 papers now, the pilot paper and the paper that was done in the last sitting. I want to share one of these solutions, just one question, and then you see what we really mean by referencing, so that now as we do this one here, you get to understand what reference here is all about. So I'm going to share that just in a while, just a minute. And then you see that when you're tackling this, referencing is actually the only option that will help you do the work very fast. Referencing is the only option that you help help you finish the exam in the right time. Referencing is the only option that will help you have accurate results, because when you are using referencing, then it becomes so easy to finish up your work in the right time. At the same time, it becomes very easy for you to achieve accurate results. So I've shared one of the questions that you are given there on first paper. This has a solution. And I want you to see something here about this paper. So the question was asking the user to prepare the cash flow for this company for this 2021 and 2022. And here you are given the cash flow for the company. This data is provided by the examiner. So what you do is to download that data. You download that worksheet. This is a download from CASNEP, direct from the portal. Then after this worksheet, then you are supposed to prepare that worksheet either here on the same worksheet. Could be you can do it here, or I heard that CASNEP, they are preferring that the student should do it just below here. Whichever the place you do, then it all makes. So I've shared this side by side for the purpose of you to see. So when you are referencing, it means that now from this, I know very well that you know the format of a cash flow. This is something you did. And you are actually tested and you did an exam. So that means it is fresh in your mind. And we may not actually repeat the concept of advanced financial management or advanced auditing or tax. So when it comes to solve the question, we'll actually imagine that, or you actually predict that you have already done this and you already know the format. So just a small reminder, that is what you are going to do. So our main aim is actually to show you how can you do this one in Excel. That will be our main aim here. How can you solve the same with Excel? So, and referencing, you said, is actually the only option. So if I'm supposed to take here, for example, the profit before tax, it is supposed to be somewhere here in the worksheet. And you are supposed to refer to that cell, that the profit before tax is in a particular cell that you can see somewhere. And you can actually see that because that is profit before tax for the year 2021. You can see it somewhere there. Then the same thing, after referencing that, then you have to proceed to reference the next. And you proceed that way, referencing. And finally, you compute by setting up a formula that is supposed to get the total of this after that reference. Remember that you just do only 1 year, then the next year just automatically generates. So that is what referencing is all about. And that is the topic that I want us to discuss here today. So you reference formulas. And we have those 5 techniques. The first one is actually the normal way in which Excel reference cells. We call it the cell addressing. That is the normal way in which we name cell. That is one of the first referencing technique. The second method of referencing is relative referencing. And this is a situation whereby you refer to cells, or the formula refers to cells based on the position of that formula in the worksheet. And this is something that you use every now and then. It's actually something that you apply every day on day-to-day life when you are entering formulas in any worksheet. So using a simple example, we are going to tackle this. I'm going to use the last exercise that we did, and then I'll indicate how this reference works. Then you'll proceed to the next reference technique. So, just a while, I want to share that. So you'll find this reference style. I'll have this data. So I have this data here, just the simple data that we did in our last lesson. And we are supposed to generate the formulas to get this. So how do you generate the formulas? So we said that when you are entering the formula, like the gross pay, which you are supposed to multiply the hourly rate and the hours worked. Then you start with an equal sign, because every time a formula should start with an equal sign. Then you take the hourly rate, you multiply by hours worked. And when you do this, you press the enter key. So by doing that, then you can copy down this formula. That is what we mean by referencing, relative referencing, that the formula reads C4 multiplied by D4. But now this formula, when you copy, I right click and then copy. And then I'll paste. What am I pasting here? We have several paste options. You can paste the value. You can paste the value, the number. You can also paste the formula. So in this case, we are pasting the formula. We are not pasting the value. When you paste the formula, it means you have copied the formula from here and you have pasted that formula here. That formula, when pasted here, it automatically changes. And it you take the immediate cells on the right side, on the left side. That is what we mean by relative referencing, that the formula keep on changing depending on the position of that formula in the worksheet. And that is what this is all about. That is the relative referencing. So when you are asked a question that a formula was typed in a cell, and which was the formula? The formula was A2 plus B2. Okay, well, formula A2 plus B2 was typed in cell C2. Then you are asked, how will be the formula if it was copied in cell G7? How will be the formula if it is copied in cell G7? So what do you think that formula will be? You can write there on the chart. If that formula was copied in cell G7, how will be the formula? The formula will be C, then exclamation mark. I don't think so. How will be that formula if it was copied in cell G7? So that means people don't have Excel with them there. That is something you can just do with Excel very fast and paste and give the answer. So if the formula was copied in that cell, the formula will be how? It will not be G7. The formula will be in the formula manner, just like the way this formula was. It will be an addition of two cells. So in cell G7, the formula will be an addition of two cells. Which two cells? That is what this question is all about. That is, if you take this formula in this cell here and you copy that formula, then in cell G7, you are pasting that formula there. How will be the formula? That is the question. Huh? The formula will take the immediate cells on the left side, and that is what this reference is all about, that the formula changes depending on the position of that formula in the worksheet. That is the relative referencing. Then the next referencing technique is absolute referencing. Absolute referencing. And absolute referencing, this is a situation that a formula refers, or all formulas refers to a particular cell in the worksheet. You may have like several formulas, all of them referring to a particular cell in the worksheet. And this is another thing that is not an exception. That is, this is something that you have to use. That is, you must use it. Or if you don't use it, then you are not going anywhere. Because in this big worksheet, there are situations whereby we have only one value provided in a specific cell. And that value provided in a specific cell requires to be done absolute. Why? Because it is something that have to be referred to either by one formula or by several formulas. In this cash flow, we never had such cell, but in the previous exercise, that is the other exercise 21, we had such a formula. So I'm looking for such a situation because that is something that have to be used in most cases. So this question was not that wide using absolute referencing. Yeah, but you're going to check. I'm going to give a clarification and an example of this. So here we are going to use this simple data. I don't know whether you'll be able to download the data set in your WhatsApp and then put it in your laptop. And then you, instead of typing, or I send it there in the chat. I want to send the file. I know people don't have Dropbox. So once you get that file, you open the file. You don't have to type, just open the file. And just a minute. I've sent the file. So if you get the file, you click to open. It is, I've sent through the Zoom platform. I'll also send another one through WhatsApp. So if you are connected, if you have connected WhatsApp in your computer, you can download that file. And then you open the file. So just a minute. I've sent that file again in the WhatsApp. So get the file, download the file, and once you download that file, now you can do what you can. Yes, you can open the file. Now I believe you have the file with you. I want us to open that file, and then we discuss the file together. So let me open the file here. So if you have got the file, please confirm that you have got the file. Confirm that you have the file. Just confirm there, code. If you have got the file, just confirm. Just type yes. If you don't have the file, please confirm that you don't have it so that I can send you the file through a different way. Then once you get the file, you can open the file. So the working of the file is already done. But I want us to discuss that working of the file to see how these absolute reference do work. So you are going to select this data for totals, and then you delete. You press delete key on the keyboard. Then you select the data for calls per hour and bonus. Then again, you press delete key for those two datas. So that means you have blank now, those for two. Now you want to see how you can compute and come up with the same. What was the question for this exercise? This was our exercise. And the exercise, you are supposed to prepare these worksheets, apply all the formatting as explained, format the data into currency as said. Then after that, you're supposed now to, number 9, to calculate the calls per hour by entering a formula in cell D4 to divide the number of calls by the hours worked. Then using the autofill, you copy the formula to the remaining cell. So how do you get this, fine? Or how do you actually process this? You are told to take this, divide by. So the formula should start with an equal sign. So we say equals to the number of calls divide by the hours worked. And then you press the enter key. So once you press the enter key, you can copy down this formula in your worksheet. That is now using the relative referencing technique. So I hope you have seen that. So you can actually access that by typing in that formula in the worksheet. Now, to get the bonus, the question was framed that you calculate the bonus, enter the formula in cell E4 to multiply the calls per hour by the fixed bonus rate on cell B12. So we have a fixed bonus rate that was set in cell B12. That simply means that B12 is supposed to be referred to by all formulas. All the formulas that will be here, they are supposed to refer to cell B12. So else, you'll not be able to achieve the bonus. So how do you get the bonus? We are told that the bonus is equal to the 25% in cell B12. Then you multiply by cell calls per hour. So if you put that function or formula, then you copy down the formula, it will give you wrong values. It will actually give you zeros. You can see that it is giving us zeros. Why is it giving us zeros? So the reason is because that Excel by default works through relative referencing. That every time a formula is entered here, first, the formula you take this cell, multiply by this cell. But when this formula is copied down to the next cell, it is shifts. Depending on its position, it will be referring to cell B13. Because you copied down here, it will take the next cell down. And you proceed taking the other cells down as you proceed down. So this means B13 had a value 0, and when you multiply 0 by any number, you get 0. The same case will happen here. And it will continue moving down as you copy down the formula. So how do you rectify this? Then you must use absolute reference in this case. And how do you apply this formula? You start with an equal sign. Then when referring to cell B12, you click B12. But you have to make that cell absolute. So how do you make this cell absolute? So it is very easy to make the cell absolute. If you're using the desktop computer, you will just press F4 on the keyboard. F4 on the keyboard. I know when you say F4, Some people will just press F and 4. But I'm referring to the functional key F4 that is found there at the top of the keyboard. This is your keyboard. You see the keyboard here. And my keyboard don't have the functional keys. They're supposed to be above here. That is what you press, the functional key F4. So since you don't have it, then your keyboard has those functional keys above this. So that is what you press. If you're using the laptop, then you have to press the function key just there, close to control key. And then as you hold down the function key, you press F4. So when you press F4, something do happen to that cell. And it will add the $ before the number and another $ before the number. That is before the cell letter and before the cell number. That is now changes from B12 to absolute B12. Then you multiply by cell D4. Then you press enter. So by doing that, then you're going to copy down this formula in your worksheet. Without charges, the formula will refer to that cell throughout. So that is, it will refer to cell B12, the next cell, B12. B12 will remain constant. As you can see, that B12 will not change. So that is what absolute differencing is all about. That is a way of referring to this cell when you want to call this in all formulas. There are situations whereby you cannot do without absolute differencing. Some situation you will see, like later, we'll be doing sensitivity analysis and scenario analysis. There are certain situations whereby you will not actually achieve the final results without that absolute differencing technique. As we come closer to those functions, we are going to unfold some of those situations whereby you must and you have no other ways but to use the absolute difference. So some situation, like I have one situation here, whereby you are given the values, changing the values of these and changing the values of these. Here you are given several discount rate and the growth rate, whereby the growth rate changes this way, then the other interest rate changing this way, whereby the value you get here will be as a result of this and this. That is a situation whereby you cannot work without absolute difference. You cannot achieve. In this case, you are given the number of years, and here you are given the interest rate. So you will never, and you cannot achieve this without absolute differencing, because it's the only option. So that is, I'm going to use probably a simple example. In this exercise, I will use a simple example of this manner, that you are given a situation of numbers, just simple numbers. You can try this one in your Excel worksheet. Just type a number 1 here. And we say that when you're copying down this series of numbers, you can hold control key and drag down to run the sequence of 9 numbers. Then again, you can type 1 here. And again, you hold control to write the sequence again of 9 numbers across the screen. So you'll have that data with the 9 numbers across and downward. So I hope you have that. If you are to create a simple multiplication table, that is actually a simple exercise that shows how that formula I was showing there previously works. That if I was to get this multiplication table, then how do you get this? You normally say that it is equal to this multiplied by this. So I hope you have that. Please type that. You have that already? Now, if you already have that, then we want to compute that by having that function copied down in our worksheets. So if you copy this formula down, then what will happen? Now you can see here, I have the formula, I want to copy this formula down. I'll drag this function this way. But the minute I'll drag that function, it will give only the two values. The two values correct, the others, all the others will be wrong. Even this one is wrong, because the formula is referring to the wrong cell. So this means that in such a situation, we must use absolute in this sense that the formula we have typed here, which is this multiply by this, that is A2 multiplied by B1, where the row A is supposed to remain constant. That is the column A, and the row 1 is supposed to remain constant. In this formula, column A is supposed to remain constant. So I'll put the cursor before column A and put my $sign there. Then in the same formula, row number 1 is supposed to remain constant. So again, I will put another $sign there. So it means I'm locking column A and I'm also locking row number 1. So, and when I do this, I don't have to type any other formula. I just need to copy this formula down in my worksheet. It gives me all the right answers. Then once I reach here, I will copy this one across the screen, and it will give me all the right answers. So meaning that the absolute referencing is actually one of the most powerful tools that Excel can help you to create data tables and any other data that will have that arrays format, the array format. That is the format in which we are supposed to generate by the column and by the row. So that is absolute reference technique. So I believe that one is clear. I believe that one now is something you can do later as you proceed. So anyone with a question so far before we proceed? I want to leave that topic and proceed to the next reference technique. If you have not, or you are left somewhere, you are free to ask. So that one I hope it was clear. Then I'll proceed next. So the next thing that you're going to discuss is the mixed cell referencing is actually what you have already done. That even in this reference style that you have done here is still mixed, because it combines the element of the absolute and the relative. The same way we did here, that this one still combine the element of absolute and relative, because in this formula, the B12 is absolute, but the B4 is relative, because the D4 factor is changing. As you copy down this formula in your worksheet, it is changing. So, but the other one is not changing. That is mixed cell reference. So because the next reference is where we reference using a name. Another very important aspect of reference. And this is another thing that will help you to achieve, especially when you are told to produce a dashboard. Sometimes the examiner is very fond of asking these. The question, there was one question that actually required you to make a dashboard. I think it was question, was it question 23? Let me check. There was one question that you had to make a dashboard, and you never had an option but to do that. So you want to see whether it was really possible to. Just a minute, let me open that question. I think it was question 21. Just a minute. Okay, no, this one, not that one. So there's someone who was asking, let me see on the chat. Okay. How do you put the dollar sign? That was the question. That is how to put the dollar sign. You hold the shift key and you press number 4 on the keyboard. That is, you hold the shift key, press number 4 on the keyboard. Hey, technician, if you are around, just come and change the version. So that is, when you hold the shift key on the keyboard, you will find the dollar sign. And the dollar sign, you can type it manually. That is, I'm going to show you here that even the previous that I pressed F4, you can also use the shift key to achieve the same. That is, you type it manually. Like in this situation, the dollar sign before the B and the dollar sign before the 12 we achieved it by pressing F4. But you can also type it manually. That is, you put the cursor before the B and you hold the shift and number 4. Put the cursor before 12, you hold the shift and number 4. You still achieve the same thing. Dorcas. I think that one is clear. So that is, you type. The other way of getting the dollar sign, we said that when you type, you start with an equal sign and you click on any cell and you want to have that cell absolute, then you can press F4 on the keyboard. That one applies the $2 sign at the same time. So in that previous exercise that I have just shown here, there you cannot press F4 because we are not putting the dollar sign on the row and the column. You're only putting the dollar sign on the first row, on the first letter of the first cell and the number of the second cell. The letter of one cell and the number of the other cell. That way you have to type it manually. So that is to achieve the same. So that is using absolute reference. So I was to check a question, and let me now have this question. So this question, you are supposed to produce a chart, and from the chart, it was supposed to be generated from the dashboard. And the dashboard, you're supposed to use the absolute reference by naming the range of cells. That this is what Kasnev had given. Don't look at the shading. The shading you can do yourself so that at least you'll be able to identify some things. But that is what Kasnev had provided. So you just download it from the examination portal. Then from there, you'll notice here we have a corporate tax 13%, 30% above here. And if this one is used here, you can see that that is used above there. Let me zoom a little bit. That this 30% was actually given on the question paper. And since it was to be used in all these formulas, then all our formulas will have the absolute difference. So that the 13%, we have even other cells down there that are still absolute, like the cell B6, cell B6 is absolute. Actually, even 30% we have not reached there, but another cell was referred to back there. So you see that formula absolute, there are some things you cannot achieve if you don't have absolute reference. That is something I've just said there previously. That is something you have to master. So after this, then the whole data set that was created here was named. The whole of this data set was named. The whole data set was named. Just a little bit, I think there is a problem with this battery. Just a little bit. So sorry for some few interruptions, bro. So I was saying about the absolute reference, and I was explaining about some situation whereby the absolute reference is actually the only option that you can achieve such. Absoluting using names is something like this. Let's just do a simple practice. I hope in your worksheet, the worksheet that you already have, I hope you have opened your Excel with you. And you want to type in some simple data. So just open a new worksheet. In that worksheet, so you want to have the cells, a number of these cells. Then you make them, we use that range. I have one range. So how do you select the range? How do you name cells with the names? Probably maybe you have data for sales for several years. Maybe these two represent 1 year. So you can select these two data, these two cells, then you merge them. And here you type 2021. Then you select the next two cells, you merge them. Then you type 2022. And then here we have the sales for 2 months, for January, and for web. So you can copy these across. So again, you say here, January and web. So with that data set, I'll have the values for these, another value for these. Just a minute. Have another value for this. Sorry. Then that is for 1 month, another one for another month. So then I'll have again values here. Last three I have this. So I have set this data in that manner. So sometimes you are required to use a simple dashboard whereby you'll be representing the whole data set instead of just one. You are supposed to represent several of them. Maybe you're supposed to represent this one as one unit, and these ones as another unit, representing that year. So in such situation, somewhere you are told to give probably the sum of 1 year and the sum of the other year. So like here, we are given total, and we are told to get the total for the year 2021 and the total for the year 2022. So you process those two totals, and the values or our answers are supposed to appear somewhere here in now a different data set. So instead of having a formula that will add the values here, or get the total of these two, then add them together, which now you'll have a very lengthy formula. Either you say that the sum of these numbers, now including the range of cells from here probably to here. And in case there is a change of this in another worksheet, then again you have to use a different range. But an easiest way is that you can name these cells. You can highlight these cells and give them a name. So how do you define a name? Once you select these cells, then you right-click on the cell and then select Define Name. Then once you say Define Name, you can now type here, how do you want to name that cell? So we'll say that let's name this cell as Sales 2021. Sales, and no spacing, 2021. That is the first range. The next range, we are going to save it as Sales 2022. So you right-click, you define the name, then you type the name of that cell, Sales 2022. Enter. So you'll have those two. That is one range and the other range. So that makes our work even more easier and more flexible. Because in this situation, if you are to get the total of this, you don't have to use a very large range of cells. You just say that I really want to sum. What do I want to sum? I want to sum. Then once I select sum, it will ask me specific range that I want to sum. Then I want to sum sales 2021. And say select range 2021. Then select range 2022. So here, select the range 2022. It will even pop up on the screen and it will give you those values that any change in this will always affect the final answer. Any change you make here, it always affect the final answer. So that is working with referencing using names. When you are referencing using name is where the range of cells is named, is given a name. Then this name is further used. The name is further used to or used in formulas to calculate. So first, you select the range of cells and you give them a name. Then this name is then used in your formulas. That is referencing using names. Referencing using names. So this will be more applicable, especially when you'll be using something we call the lookups and references. A topic that you're going to discuss later there in the topic about this lookup and reference is one way of working with big data. That is one of the tools, especially in Excel, that help in working with big data. And when you are working with the lookups and reference, we will see that a situation like this one here, whereby you are supposed to look up a reference of cells, and the reference of cells are given in a specific range, then you have to make that range. You have to make that range or you have to name that range. That is something like this. Let me just share this. It will be something like this here. That is, let me check here. 8, 7, 10. Yeah, such a situation whereby the cells to be looked up for, they're in a specific table. Cells to be looked up for are given in a specific table. Other situation where, like this one here, that cells to be looked up for are actually given here in form of a table. That you'll be looking up over here, that we can actually get the values on our bigger worksheet. So that is somewhere where you know that you have to use the names. You have to name so that you can refer to that name in your formula. That is referencing using names. So we have done those major types of referencing techniques, and I believe that one is clear. Now you have to practice more exercises. I'm going to share this one right away, and you are supposed to tackle exercises. First, you repeat exercise 2, then you also do exercise 3 and 4. But before we attempt exercise 3 and 4, then you introduce again to the next part of our discussion, that is functions, which we said that functions are inbuilt formulas. These are the formulas that are already in Excel. And these formulas, you insert them, they follow this syntax, must start with an equal sign, must have function name. Then the function name is followed by the function argument, where the argument is actually the range of cells to be acted on and closed in a bracket. Function can be classified. We have those functions that we use to do statistical or to run statistics, descriptive statistics, like the measure of this interference, dispersion, measure of this distribution, measure of disparity. So such a function like average, sum, max for the largest number, mean for the lowest number, the median, the mode, most frequently occurring number, the standard deviation that helps you to indicate the extent of variation between two sets of data or variables, the variance, this are the one we say that the square root. Then we have the count A, count blank. These functions and many other functions that you can classify as a statistical function. In Excel, when you click on the formulas tab, you'll get functions. So many, those used in finance, the logical functions, the text function. Data and time, we have lookup and reference functions, and many other functions you'll get here in Excel. So how do you insert these functions? How do you use the functions? It is very easy to apply these functions in computation, especially if you want to achieve a simple operation. So like here, in this case, you are given to get the total number, the total of these numbers. And the total of these numbers, you'll get it by inserting the function. So you click on insert function from above there. Then you look for the function sum, because we are actually using sum. You can look for the function sum and click on it. Then from there, you can copy down the formula in your worksheet. And finally, you copy the formula across the screen to get the other answers. So today we have had a problem with a battery here. There was a challenge with the charger, that charger with the battery. So someone is really working on it. So we apologize for that, because there was a problem with the charger. There was a problem with that charger. So we really apologize, and it will not really disturb us any other day, because it's really disturbing, but Please accept our apologies. So, functions that we use in Excel, and we are going to see these functions in our next exercise, whereby this function only asks for total, but sometimes you need to have more functions. That is, you'll do this one now in our exercise, the third exercise. So how is our third exercise? This exercise, you are actually told to perform a task by first getting the commission, then the total salary. What was the question? The question was about you get the commission of this. So you have here is our data set, and you are told to compute. You are told to enter the formula to compute the commission, where the commission is sales amount multiplied by 2%. 2% is not given in any cell, so we cannot have it absolute. That one, you just type it direct. That's 2%. 2% of, 2% of the sales amount. Then you press enter. When you press enter, then you can copy down this formula in your worksheet, get the commission of the others. Then the total salary, then here you will say that total salary is equal to the salary plus the commission, which gives us this value here. So then you copy down the formula. After getting these two formulas, then you're supposed to compute the totals, the averages, the highest amount of salary, the lowest salary paid. So how do you insert this function? We said there are two ways of doing this. Number one, you can click on Insert Function tab from the formula bar. You just click there. And once you click, then you look for the function of the function that is applicable in this situation. Here is sum. Then you are going to highlight the range of cells down. Then you click OK. And once you get this, you copy the formula across the screen. If you are told to get the average, again, you are going to insert the function and you look for the function average, OK. Then you select the range of cells to be acted on, then OK again. So you don't have to struggle with formula. You just give this one automatically, and makes your work very easy and very accurate. So you can use the insert function from here. Alternative, you can also type that function direct using the keyboard. That is, you start with an equal sign, then you type sum. Once you type sum, you double click on this sum, you highlight the cells to be acted on, then you close the bracket, enter. Still give you the same value. If it is average, again you type, you are looking for the function average, so you type average, and you select the range of cells to be acted on, then you close the bracket, and that one will give you the average. So I'm sending that exercise in your WhatsApp. So just download it in your WhatsApp group, then attempt exercise 3 and exercise 4. So just a minute. So I've sent that exercise in your group. So because we have like 20 minutes remaining, do exercise 3. I've already shown you how to go about